Welcome back to Shemsuniverse. So today, guys, we're going to discuss the relationship between Capricorn and another Capricorn. So this is not the most ideal relationship, but it still can work quite well. On average, from what I've researched, it seems to be about 62% in tropical astrology that they do end up working out. The reason being, let's get started with the intimacy of them. They both are represented, of course, by Saturn. So when two sun signs get together, a lot of us like to think that they're always going to get along so perfectly, match made in heaven, blah, blah, blah. That's not necessarily the truth. If you research and look into it, you start realizing that two of the same people, the same type of person, might actually butt heads more than you think. Both of these guys, of course, exalt Mars. Saturn's the representation. They're very cold, inert, disciplined people, kind of rigid and stubborn almost to a fault. They are a cardinal sign, but they do act in almost a fixed sign sort of manner. And these guys are very, very cold and callous when it comes to making decisions, and that does not leave relationships out of that. So they are quite pragmatic even when choosing a significant other. So with these two together, on the sexual basis, they can either get along very, very well, meaning that they'll just understand each other's sexual needs without any talking whatsoever, or it's going to be such a restricted sort of sexual foundation that they don't end up even being able to take each other's clothes off without it just being awkward. So this was, I recommend, being something that's actually solved during the friendships part of it, because if it's not, then you're just going to have a whole bunch of problems going forward in the relationship, leading to probably one or both partners cheating. So that's the first thing to solve. After that, the trust between these two is very, very good. These guys always trust each other for the most part. Like I said, Capricorn is one of the most honest signs out there, if not the most honest sign. So the chance of these guys really lying to each other outright is very, very low. And they'll sense that in their partner as well. This is a very trustworthy person that I can confide in, tell secrets to, and they'll die with it even after a breakup. So even if these guys don't talk after a breakup, they can know that whatever they had during the relationship will stay as such and will not be shared with anybody else. When it comes to like the emotional, I guess I'd say communication of these two, because of lack of emotion, these guys, even in a relationship, kind of act like business confidants or just friends. You have to just watch out for looking at your partner and understanding that you guys are very much alike, but making sure that you still look at them as your significant other, as somebody that you're intimate with, and putting that emotional basis at least there if it's not anywhere else in your life. Because if you find yourself just being unemotional and cold, even with the person that you're sharing the same bed with or that you're living with, what have you, you'll realize that that's going to lead to a lot of rigidity between you two and maybe a lot of unexpressed emotions as well, just because both of you guys are putting it to the back and not really looking at it as something that has any significant importance. So just make sure that you guys do acknowledge each other's emotions, your values, discuss those things, ask each other the opinions, and really try to go beyond your usual logical, rational thinking, and then let your emotions dictate why you're with this person. I'm not saying be an illogical fool, but what I'm saying is be somebody who can look at a situation, understand the situation, and then still let your emotions take charge when that time is set to do so. When it comes to values, it's very rare that Capricorns actually share the same values. Oddly enough, these guys are very rigid, as I was saying before, in their nature due to Saturn, and they always, based on their cultural narrative, will have a different set of, I guess I would say, boundaries, principles, ideologies, the religion, whatever it may be, that they're going to stick with. And the best thing you can do in this situation is not really try to change your partner's ideology or their perspective, but more so just to compromise and understand what they have, understand what your beliefs are, and neither of you guys try to change it. But lead by example. Maybe they'll learn something from you and you learn something from them. That's just usually how it goes. I know both of you guys are very used to being authoritative and changing people's perspectives and influencing them. But if you're with another Capricorn, no matter what deacon they are, that's not going to work. Moving on to like a business setting between these two. Business wise, it goes pretty well. This is where I give them like an 80%. The only 20% reason why they would not work is if there's an authority issue. Meaning Saturn, like the sun, is very used to being in charge. I always like to say Saturn is the dark form of the sun. So when you guys are get together in a business setting, you guys can do anything from being into construction, agriculture, architecture, Anything iron related will be very, very good luck for you guys because Saturn has a very strong relation with iron. And also like things like airports and dealing with like flight, import, export, transport is going to work very well because Saturn is highly related with the air as well. So what you want to do is not really look at what your good luck business might be, but what you guys are both very logically interested in. You guys do not need to have an emotional basis to be successful. You guys are both very naturally competent, so I have no doubt that it'll work out if you guys decide to invest in a business together. My concern is the authority component of it, in the sense that you guys may not look at the, I guess I would say, the competence of what you're doing over who's actually in control. So make sure that you're actually understanding your roles. I always say this for all the business compatibilities. However, make sure that, if anything, make it that you guys are 50-50 in control of everything to do with the business. If that's not possible, make sure that that's set clear from before, because if you're doing another Capricorn, they're going to either undermine you or they're going to find a way to overthrow you in some sort of way to make sure that they can retain a large amount of control over the business. But for the most part, if it's like an employee-employer situation, you guys will both fit your roles perfectly. Capricorn is very obsessed with competence to the point of being perfectionist. So I have no doubt that you guys will be able to execute any sort of business and it will be very successful. In a friendship basis, you guys get along extremely well. 90% of the time, highest one for sure, it's going to work. The reason being is if you guys were friends, that means you guys have a reason, share similar beliefs. That gets that whole obstacle out of the way, and you guys are definitely going to be very rigid, very stubborn, and make sure you guys stick together. Loyalty is not a problem for these two friends. Gossiping, things like that, not going to really happen. More often than not, if I see two Capricorns as friends, they'll either get into business together, or they'll just be an asset to each other in one way or another throughout each other's lives. Saturn does bring out a lot of very tough-minded people, and when they're able to meet somebody else that can share similar experiences to them, or at least can understand where they are coming from and not be misunderstood, that leads to a high level of traction between these guys, and they'll definitely be able to remain friends. There's not really any power sort of dynamic when it comes to their friendships. They're able to just get along very well, see each other for who they are, and it usually works out quite well. It's very rare that I see Capricorn friends end up not being friends for anything to do with like intolerance or lack of loyalty, anything like that. It's highly unlikely. If that is the case, what I'd argue is that their moon sign is definitely something that's going to be a polarizing opposite to that said sun sign, because there's no way that a sun sign by itself in Capricorn is going to lead any individual to be disloyal. I would argue that in almost any case, and like I said, I'd have to look at somebody's numerology chart or more in their astrology chart in regards to their moon sign to see why any sort of disloyalty would occur in this. But this is one of the best friendships you can ever see. These are a set of people that will literally treat each other like family without a doubt in any given situation. But that should conclude the video for two Capricorns together in a compatibility. If you guys have any questions about it whatsoever or disagree with me, I'd love to hear about it. Please leave a comment for me. Aside from that, guys, like, subscribe. Holla me. That's it for today, guys. Peace.